Hi pet people, Pet Life with Beck here. Today I wanted to share with you how I weigh the rabbits and how often I do it, and I just wanted to go through that process with you today and tell you a little bit more about that. So let's just dive straight into it. So Apollo and Luna I weigh on actually different schedules. Luna I weigh weekly, usually every Sunday, and Apollo I weigh probably about once a month. And I just want to apologise in advance. My parrot is going crazy now that I'm recording this video. I'm going to do my best to edit out her loud noises, but if some are left in, I do apologise. Now, so Luna I weigh weekly, and the reason for this is because she is quite unwell. Luna had E. caniculi last year, and ever since then her kidneys have been very badly damaged. She also has a mild heart condition, so her weight is very, very low and quite unstable. So she is very thin and bony, which you really don't want in a rabbit. She usually averages about mid 1.9 kilograms. Ideally, she should weigh about 2.3 to 2.4 kilos, but she hasn't weighed that ever since she had E. caniculi. So at the moment, we feed her to try and maintain that minimum weight of 1.9 kilograms, and I weigh her weekly to be sure that she's not losing too much weight in any given week, because I feel like with her, if she's going to go downhill, it will be very quickly, so I want to be able to pick up on that as soon as I can to avoid any drastic changes. So as I said, Apollo I weigh roughly once a month, give or take a week or two, and that usually is pretty good to just tell if he's on the right track with the food that I'm feeding him and making sure he doesn't have any sort of illnesses there going on. So weekly weighing for him isn't really necessary, so I tend not to do it, and he is a very stressy bunny when it comes to handling. So to weigh them, I just get my little kitchen scales. This scales goes up to 10 kilos, I believe, and I just pop a little bowl on top. I can use the bowl for Luna, but the bowl doesn't always work for Apollo, as you will see in a moment. Put a little bit of fleece down in the bottom for traction, and then just pop a bunny in. Now, Luna is usually pretty good. She can be a bit fidgety, but if I hold my hands up in front of their face, usually they sit still for long enough for me to get a pretty good idea of their weight. Now, Apollo, as I said, much more stressy with handling. Tried him in the bowl today, it didn't work, so I had to get the bigger bowl out, which I didn't use originally because I was concerned about not being able to see the number on the scales in the video, because I wasn't actually writing it down, I was relying on the video. So I had to get the bigger bowl out, popped him in this. He was still very stressy, as you can see, but by covering up his face and sort of petting him a little bit, he calmed down enough where I could take my hands off of his face, and then he sat there relatively still for a few moments so that I could get an approximate weight on him. Now, that weight doesn't have to be exact down to the very gram. I like to write down the grams, but it is just a small weight range there, maybe varying 5 to 10 grams based on if they're moving too much or not in the bowl, but 5 or 10 grams isn't very much. So once I've weighed them, I have my handy dandy little book here that has all my rabbits' info in it, and I record their weights down in here every time that I weigh them. So as I said, Luna's weekly and Apollo's about monthly, so I'll just write that in there, and then I've got easy access to it. I've also got room for notes if I want to write down, one of them started medication, one of them's gotten ill, one of them wasn't eating. That's all good information to have next to my weight records to show why they may or may not have lost or gained weight in that time period. And I highly recommend you do weigh your rabbits or any of your pets regularly, really. Apollo is once a month. Once a month is probably enough for most pets. If you have a pet that is sickly, like Luna, or an elderly pet, or a very young animal, I highly recommend weekly weigh-ins or even daily weigh-ins if you are raising a small orphaned baby, because you need to make sure they're gaining weight every day. But in general, as a general rule, for a fairly healthy pet, once a month weigh-in is more than adequate, and it allows you to keep track of their health a little bit better and pick up on any early warning signs for illness or injury. So weighing your pets regularly is super important to help keeping track of their health, and it's such a simple thing to do. I know some people use baby scales to weigh their rabbits. That's a bit easier than putting a rabbit in a bowl. Sometimes you can just lure them onto the scale with a treat. So that's it from me for this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, comment down below, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you again next week for another one. Bye!